Welcome to another edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb.
Hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon. Today I have a fun guest with us, Tom Mulliez. I found out he lives right near me. We could have probably met for coffee to do this. And Tom is the CEO of ITreckkers.com. He's a father, husband, entrepreneur, and the visionary behind ITreckkers. And he founded the company in 2014 after realizing that bringing together vetted professional captains and guides on one platform would help experience everyone a better experience to the outdoors. ITreckkers is a combination of Tom's desire to share the love of nature, to simplify the process of booking guided outdoor activities. His mission is threefold: get people to experience the outdoors through ITreckkers, to help people get outdoors, period, providing useful tips, referrals, and to educate people about the outdoors and ways to be mindful. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring Tom on today for all you guys who are contractors and don't think outside the box is that it's nice to talk to other people who have gone through probably the same things you have, just in different avenues, and we all face the same challenges and go towards those same successes. So I wanted to bring Tom on. Tom, I'm excited to have you on the show today so we could talk about your journey and some of the exciting things that's going on with your business.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Dave. I really appreciate it.
Sure. So what basically got you going in the direction that you went? I remember we talked a little bit about before this that you're an avid outdoor guy to begin with, and so what happened when you were trying to find stuff to do?
Well, I've had the idea for a long, long time, and I think the first time I really spoke seriously about it was my brother-in-law's bachelor party. This was like 10 years ago, and we had booked a fishing charter in Savannah, Georgia, I believe. And it just was a terrible experience. On paper, it seemed great, and we knew what we were looking for. And when we got there, the boat was not as advertised. The captain seemed hungover. He wanted to troll instead of really work at it. And it's just, overall, it was just a terrible experience. He cared more about the $1,300 he's putting in his pocket than he cared about us. Wow. Being, long-lasting customers. So, that's when that night I remember going, man, like, this is crazy. Like, we can't even find a great experience all the time. And we know what we're looking for. So how do we create something that allows for that? And that's kind of where the idea started forming. And throughout the years, one day I was let go by Capital One. They wanted me to move, they moved me to Tampa, Florida to run a call center to get ops experience. And I was going to move back to and they wanted me to move back to Richmond, or else they were going to let me go. And I'm like, guys, you guys just moved here with 2 kids. Like, I'm not going anywhere. This is Florida. It's nice. And they, they were very generous and took care of me. And I was able to really put in time for the business model, the business plan, my assumptions, think through things, and launch, which was an utter failure.
It's like going out to get that first customer for the rest of us. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
No, it didn't. So first failure happened real quick. 2 weeks into the launch, I'm like, this is all wrong. So, which was good. I mean, if you think about it, I failed really quickly, which was great. Fired all the people I was working with. My background is in customer experience and analytics. And I knew nothing about how to market online. I knew nothing about how to develop and build websites and all that stuff. And I had a great idea that I could conceptualize of what I wanted to look like and all that. But I picked the wrong partners. So first mistake, really dive deep into that. And so then, we launched December 14, failure, relaunched in April 15 and really slow to get going. But we got our first couple customers and first, a little bit of repeat business, and one thing led to another. And here we are now across the entire state of Florida offering awesome outdoor adventures.
Well, that's awesome. And I think, as I was thinking about, your whole platform and building a repeat customer base, where most, I would say, charters and most businesses don't even think about building that repeat base because they just are transactional. They want today. But you guys are doing, from what I can see, you want to continue that basis with that customer.
Yeah, we do. And actually, and I don't know if this is a little bit early in the podcast, but actually we realized that we are not doing a good job of repeating that customer base when using third-party guides. So we have a mix of in-house guides, and we have a mix of third-party guides. And in-house, we bought the boats, we bought the paddleboards, we bought the camping gear. Because just to be clear, we do fishing, camping, hiking, and paddle adventures across the state of Florida. And so we have our in-house guides who have our own gear, and our return rate there was really high. And then when I compared that to the return rate on the other guides in our network, I realized, wait a second, something's not right here. Either they're providing a poor experience, which they're not. Yeah. We know that from our feedback channels and our surveys. So I'm like, okay, they're providing a great experience, but customers aren't coming back. And what we realize is they're not coming back because they're being stolen from under us. And that guides, who aren't the most business savvy individuals, are only thinking about tomorrow's bread, right? And not how to have someone else make the bread for you forever. So, for example, someone that we're driving $10,000 worth of business to in a year is cutting us out of our own customers in order to gain that extra $50. Well, lo and behold, now we realize what's happening. Yeah. And, we get rid of that person who was making $10,000 a year off of us. And now they've lost it all, and they haven't been doing their own marketing, and they're back to square one. Right. And it's all because they didn't make it win-win. They didn't decide that this relationship was valuable to them enough that it would cost them $50 a trip, and that would be okay. And so, it's their loss. But for us, we can't sustain a business model where we're just constantly doing the entire value chain and then losing out on that repeat business.
Right, and that's where all the money's at, really. It's the after the sale. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, that's why we've taken steps we've taken to stop that from happening.
Well, that's pretty cool when you look at it. I mean, it's a negative when you look at it. You weren't getting a repeat business, but now it's basically that failure to get repeat business from that vendor, let's say, is put you in a position to make you stronger because now you've found an avenue that actually works better for everybody, even the customer.
That's right. So there are things that we provide that other people can't. A guide who's on the water doing his job, which is guiding, can't return a phone call or can't answer the phone when he's with other customers, whereas our customer service team is there ready to go. Weekends or weeknights and mornings, and whenever the customer calls, we're there to pick up. And guides aren't able to do that themselves. So eventually, we had some customers come back to us. I mean, we even had customers call us up, be like, "Hey, I'm going out with so and so. And we're like, well, we don't have that on the books. He goes, well, I just call them direct. Like, okay, well, I'm sorry. We can't help you out. I'm sorry you paid him money and that he didn't show up. And that's not on us. Had you used our service, we guaranteed your trip. We did all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how we figured out what was happening as well.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I know, because I was looking at your website and stuff, and I'm going, you got some pretty bold guarantees. So you have to, which is great. Because you put the risk on you and not the customer, which is really where it needs to be anyways for anybody who's going to grow in a business and not be transactional, look towards the future. That's pretty exciting that you've made all these mistakes, but each mistake has made you stronger to move in another direction to make you more profitable. But not only just more profitable, from what I'm seeing and what you're saying is that your customers are happier too.
They are, absolutely. So like our NPS scores, net promoter scores definitely go up when we're doing it in-house. So for us now today, it's realizing, okay, if we do better on our own stuff, how do we get more of our own stuff in our own in-house guides? Right. And so to be honest, we literally 3 weeks ago pulled back all the marketing from every location where we didn't have our own guides. And, organically, we're still selling in those markets, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But our cost of acquisition is now zero, right? Before it was way too high. So, this has allowed us to change that cost of acquisition model. And it also allows us to increase our profitability. And now we can go to the banks and get loans for specific gear, right? Because we know we can pay it off at X rate. So that's been helpful. But the biggest thing we've done recently is we've changed our marketing model completely. So since we're no longer marketing across the state like that, we freed up a lot of our cash to do other things. And one of the things that we're trying to do right now is we're doing event-based marketing. And here's why. One of our biggest failures is the assumption that let me backtrack for a second. In our market, it's about $3 billion a year spent on outdoor guides and guided adventures across the U.S.
Okay.
But 9 out of 10 people who are actively searching do not buy in today's market. And our biggest assumption was they're not buying because they don't know the value, they don't understand what they're going to get, and they're hesitant without some type of a guarantee. And that assumption proved itself to be flawed.
Okay.
And the reason is we would have 1,000 people go to our cart a month, and yet only 10% were buying. And we're like, wait a second. What's going on? We thought we were the Messiah and we were going to come in and solve everyone's problems. And so we started calling everybody up. We're like, hey, just trying to understand, we were talking on the phone last week. You seemed really, about it. And, I see you guys chose not to purchase. Did you buy with somebody else? And no, we're still kind of hesitant. It's a lot of money. A fishing charter is, $450 for 2 people. Yeah. And that's the basic entry level. And camping, are well, why didn't you guys go? And so working through all that, and we realized that's really not the problem. The problem is people are emotionally insecure in doing this type of activity because they're afraid they're going to look bad, because mom doesn't know where she's going to use the restroom for 4 hours on the boat, because they've never had their kids out in the woods. And so even though ITreckkers sets everything up and the guide is there, what happens if I have to leave in the middle of the night? How am I going to take down the tent? So there are all these little different reasons that build up and create this kind of insecurity that is stopping people from purchasing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so what we've done is we say, okay, if people are afraid to buy, how do we help them try it before they buy it? And that's where this whole event-based marketing plan came out of. And so we created this pseudo outdoor university where we take fishing, camping, hiking, and paddle, and we break out a skill level set, like a class, a 101 class, a 102 class, a 201 class, a 301 class. Oh, wow. And what we've done is we've priced it at zero or very, very, very inexpensive, those first couple classes, like the 101 and the 102s. Yeah. And so now we're saying to people, come learn an outdoor skill on us. It's our way of giving back. Come and learn an outdoor skill. See if you like it. And if you do enjoy it, we'll teach you more skills within that vein. And so like a 102 class for fishing, for example, or 101 is like a seminar, or 102 is we're going to teach you how to bait a hook, how to hold the rod, how to cast the rod. And we'll teach you all these little techniques needed to basically learn how to fish as a basic level. And we're going to charge you $5 for that. 1 hour instructional session.
Cool.
And that person, of the 10 who go to that, maybe 3 say, I really like that. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to try to go out on a boat. And so we said, okay, well, let's do a 2-hour class on a boat. And it's only $60 a person versus the $450 for 2 people basic charter that exists across the entire marketplace. This 2-hour charter doesn't exist. Guides don't do it. And they don't do it because they're like, oh, I don't make money. It cost me $200 to put my boat in the water. I'm never going to get that back. But for us, all that's already sunk cost. So we're looking at it from a variable perspective of now we're going to take these 3 people out on a 2-hour charter. And of those, maybe 1 will buy a real charter after that. And so now our value proposition has changed because we're teaching people outdoor skills at a very low cost. And some of them are going with us through the steps to learn more skills and really focus on and eventually become their own fishermen or maybe even their own guides across the spectrum of what we do.
Oh, that's a pretty cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I see this, a lot of the psychology behind it with the $5 and the $60 is you're getting them to spend. They're already a spender. And so once they become a spender, then they're more likely to continue to spend with you at various levels.
That's correct.
Even starting at the $5, which is genius. It's just genius.
Yeah. So now our entire marketing pipeline is these events and social media and all that stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
But, we use all of that to promote our entry-level events, which then we promote getting people to the next level of events. And then eventually we'll end up selling more of our high-dollar items that we make a lot of money on, a lot of margin on. And the loss that we take at the lower-end events is really just the time and bait of one of our instructors. And that's our marketing cost to get those people in.
Yeah, so it's a marketing cost. That's pretty awesome. And you got all that from asking questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, when this one lady in particular that we were talking to, she was just like, I've been outdoors, I love the outdoors, and I didn't do it because it was 4 hours, and I usually have to go to the bathroom every 2 to 3 hours. And I know I can get in the water, or there's probably a bucket, but it made me feel uncomfortable.
Wow.
And it's that simple.
So let's boil it. I want to boil it down to its simplest aspects here for all of our listeners. Not that everybody's simple, because I know everyone is very intelligent, especially if you're in business. But what Tom did was just took and he asked questions, and what I think that's a lot of times we as business owners forget to do is to ask questions on why aren't you doing something within our business, and found what their needs were and supplied them. So there again, you became the problem solver.
Yeah. Yeah. So not only the problem solver, but we blew up the business model of the entire industry, because we're telling them that, we don't care if your basic is a 4-hour. Like, we're not going to do that. If people want, a 3-hour, that's what we're going to offer. And we'll find a way to make that work. But one, we asked questions. We synthesized the information and paired it with qualitative and quantitative data, which I think is very important. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes people only look at one side of the equation. Oh, someone told me this, so obviously that's what's happening. But you got to ask a ton of people. And then you got to say, okay, this is what I'm being told. How does that mesh with what I'm seeing on the data side? Because sometimes what we're telling you is actually not what we're doing. And it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
We have logical responses to things, but the logical response is not the real answer. The real answer is more the emotional, deeper piece inside of us that really is driving what we're doing. Yeah. When someone says, well, I wasn't sure of the value, and that's the answer that you get, and you pry, and you realize, well, I didn't know where I was going to use the restroom, or I didn't know if my 5-year-old could really handle it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to cry and it to be a ruined experience and ruin my child forever.
Yeah.
That they'll never want to go on a boat again, or they'll never want to go camping again. And there just wasn't time yet. Like all of those things, it just took a lot of work to find. But like one point I really want to put here is we met the customer where they were.
Right.
And that to me is the biggest thing that we learned from this and it became one of our values. From now on, we meet the customer where they are, skill-wise, location, gear-wise. If someone already owns a rod or owns a paddleboard and they want to learn how to use it, we'll teach you. Not a problem.
Yeah.
And then financially, because before I limited my customer set to those who could afford $450 or $300 per purchase. That was the limit. Now I've opened myself up to someone who can spend $20, $30 every other month for a year.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
You're bringing them up.
Yeah. So someone who spends the $5, $10 and they do that every month. Well, now I'm making $60 off someone that I never would have had a chance to even touch.
That's awesome.
And they're spreading the word about what we're doing. Yeah. And their viral marketing in of itself is what's going to cause us to really blow up. And that's the direction that we're taking.
I'm looking at this and so you're charging them to market for you, which is awesome.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll let you know how it goes.
No, but I think it's a novel idea. I mean, it's not a novel idea, but it's an awesome idea because I've seen other people do it, where they've taken and actually put together an introductory for a business, and they'll charge them X amount of dollars, and what they'll do is they'll pay the salesman. They'll give the salesman that whole thing. Where normally a lot of other companies will go in and do it for free.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's a great business model, and making it work is really awesome. And it's like, a lot of people say, well, I can't charge for an estimate. Why can't you? They're afraid to, but it's just being. You should.
You should charge.
I agree.
If I have two people and one says it's a free estimate and one says I'm going to make you pay for it, even if it's a low cost, I'll pick the guy who's like, my time's valuable to come out to you.
Right.
That's how valuable my time is. I'm going to charge you for this estimate.
Right.
And when you get the estimate, then you will know, A, I'm serious. I know you're serious. You know I'm serious, and we're ready to do business.
Right. And I tell people, I'm going to charge. This is what I charge for an estimate, and I said, if you go with us, then we'll give it back to you in the proposal. But I'm not coming out there for free, like you said. But no, that's cool. I just love the way that you're putting this whole thing together, and you're asking your customers what they want, and you're meeting them where they're at. I think that is so awesome, because we get, as business owners, a lot of times we get so focused on what we want to sell, as opposed to finding out if that customer is really going to be a buyer.
Yeah. Kind of piggybacking on that thought, oftentimes what I find, even with my team, is they're like, well, this is difficult for us, so let's make them, let's do this. And I say, okay, what's easier for the customer? Mm-hmm. They're like, well, it's easier for the customer if we're selling this across multiple platforms, but it's hard for us because we don't know how many people are going to an event, because you're using Eventbrite and you're using Meetup. And I'm like, guys, what's easier for the customer? I'm sorry that you're going to have to do a little bit of more work to make sure that you've got a right count of people showing up. I'm sorry you have to check 2 platforms, okay? You're not going to inconvenience someone because of work you have to do. That's for you to figure out. It's not for them to figure out.
Well, just next time you have a meeting, just say, okay, I know all you got people here are smart enough. Figure out a way how to integrate the 2 together to talk and put it into one CVS file.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So
there's a solution for every problem. So that is really cool. And so everything is now. You just started this new platform, and it seems to be working very well for you, huh?
We're at the infancy. I mean, we're week 4 this week.
Okay.
So when we started, we had like 1 person come to an event week 1.
Okay.
And then we had 3 people last week.
Cool.
And we're doing 6 events a week right now. And yesterday we had 4 people go to one event.
Nice.
So
it's growing. That's what you're looking for, growth.
Well, and like my team's like, Tom, like, do you realize the waste of money? I'm like, guys, you don't realize. Yeah. And this is my fault. Like, I need to further explain to you guys the following. Each person that goes to that event, this is like it's a brand new startup.
Yeah.
That person right there is the most important person in this entire company. You need to learn from them. You need to ask them millions of questions. You need to figure out everything there is. Why did you buy? Why did you try this? Why did you want to do it? Yeah. What's going to lead you to do something else with us? And they are. And then we're just constantly going and constantly iterating and constantly changing and adding new platforms and all this kind of stuff. And now they're seeing it. They're like, oh, wow, this is cool. And and what's really neat is when they're there and they're with this individual and they're seeing the transformation in that person from someone who didn't go outdoors to now becoming an outdoor advocate. I mean, that's how we're going to change the world. That's how we're going to create our million man woman army.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, earlier, I was going through, I wonder how many people would really love to be out into the outdoors but don't do it because they really have no idea and so they'll go to the movies or they'll go on vacation or do this. But, there's, like you mentioned, camping. And I know, now I'm not an avid camper, but I do know that from people that I do know that camp, that is the most awesome experience for a family. And just creates tremendous amount of just family togetherness and great memories. I must say that was the word I was looking for, memories. Because I know we've taken our kids and we've gone on week-long things, and when they now they're older, they're in their 30s. But you say, well, what was the best family vacation? Man, the best family vacation when we took a week and we went such and such and we spent a whole week. We didn't watch TV. We just played games and enjoyed each other's company. And I'm going, really? But it's the same thing for camping,
It really is. I mean, it's just getting outdoors fosters something in us. It fosters a connection both to the outdoors and it fosters a connection to each other. To answer your question, though, there's 114 million Americans today who consider themselves outdoorsy, want to get outdoors, but don't know where to go look. It's $100 billion opportunity.
Wow.
And that's what we're trying to do.
And it's really in its infant stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's our whole goal. We used to basically market effectively and take customers out of a pipeline that already existed. And we realized, that's great and all. Yeah, we could probably make a marginal business out of this. But the way for us to really become transformational and just take things to that next tier level, the way to do that is we have to be inventive. We have to be creative. We have to just break everything and go after the people that no one wants to go after. They don't want to go after it because it's hard. Yeah, but if we figure it out, all of a sudden, what's going to happen to our company? And that's what matters.
Well,
and that's what we're trying to do.
Exponentially. And the cool thing is that you've taken it upon yourself to take your potential customer and you're bringing them and you're moving them up a whole realm of educational and experiential things where now they're becoming your biggest advocate.
Yeah.
Your raving fan.
That's right. That's what we're going for.
When you're stealing other customers, you hope that you're going to get a raving fan, but not you're actually creating them from the ground stages up, which is cool. So I wonder how all the rest of us can do that. Everybody who's listening. So we've got a few more minutes left in the podcast, and one of the things that I noticed on your sheet that you were talking about was that how this has effectively helped the outdoors part of it has effectively helped organizations grow and with their employees. Can you elaborate on that for a few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. So 20 to 30% of our business is out, employee groups.
Okay.
So company XYZ, like next week we've got the Boston Beer Group coming down here, and they're doing a 15 boat fishing outing. So like, and the reason why they chose to do this is, one, they wanted to do things that were different than other companies. Two, they want to leave a mark on their employees. Their employees, people love to work for companies that are cool and unique and do awesome fun things. I mean, work's work, but sometimes having fun's great.
Yes.
And, we provide that venue and the ability to do that kind of unique type of an adventure. And, with millennials today and just, this lifespan at a company, people change jobs a lot more often than they used to. But the costs to recruit and hire has only gone up.
Yes.
So that has been a huge drain on organizations. And so the organizations that take the time to invest in their people, both from an educational standpoint, which we also do, educate about nature, outdoors, et cetera, as well as take the time to invest in them as people from an enjoyment standpoint, that gives them the upper edge, and that's what keeps people in a company. And we lose sight of that sometimes. It's all about work. Well, you do that, you're eventually going to burn through people. When you're going to burn through people, you're going to spend a lot more. So maybe look at your entertainment budget a little bit, or your team building budget, and say, hey, wouldn't it be great if I could spend, twice as much on my team building that I'm doing today and reduce my cost of, talent acquisition by half? Because I guarantee it's much bigger.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you have the old school philosophy, you're replaceable or a dime a dozen. And I worked for a company that was their philosophy, and I'm going, you're kidding me. You're killing yourself in new hire costs. When you do stuff like that.
Everyone is replaceable. That's a truth.
Yes.
That said, that where I think that phrase loses something is, do you really want them to be replaced?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm with you. If you got someone that is, I think everyone is an asset to the company until they're not.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that's basically what it boils down to. We have to look at employees differently. We have to look at everything differently in today's age, because everything has changed, and it rapidly changes. And I think a lot for the better, in a sense, because we have to be more aware of what's really going on, and because it's not all just business.
No.
Yeah, it's about having some fun too. Tom, this has really been awesome.
Hey, well, thanks so much, Dave. I really appreciate it.
So how do our listeners get a hold of you, and how can they find out more about your company, ITreckkers?
Yeah, just, the easiest way is to Google ITreckkers or type in itrekkers.com. That's ITREKKERS.com. Also check out itrekkers.com/events. Just put that out there. Look at our team, read some of our cool content, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I mean, we're obviously across the spectrum. And importantly, if you want to reach out and any questions from this, if I can help in any way, shape, or form, just reach out. And my email's on the website, and I'll get back to you.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, and I'll put everything in the show notes, so that'll be awesome. And thanks again, Tom, so much for sharing your story with us, and to let all of us know that we're all the same.
That we are.
Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher-end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive, for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you are listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast.